Hi Sherry, hi Angie, and hi official Memphis Mafia group. I'm happy to come to you tonight from my home in Malibu, but I would be happier if I could be with everyone there in Memphis and around the world, actually. I know that a lot of the fans are terribly disappointed that they weren't able to go to Memphis this year. And I'm sorry that it's just such a tough time for everybody. And I'm hoping that our world will turn right side up soon and that next year we can all be together and that I can actually sit with Sherry and field some questions and give some intelligent answers. But as we have it right now, you just get me sitting here in my dining area babbling. It sounds like I'm just babbling because I'm just going to try to ask myself questions in my mind. So one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, did the Memphis Mafia, did the guys really care about Elvis? And I have to say unequivocally, absolutely yes. You couldn't be around Elvis Presley and not fall in love with him. You couldn't be around him and not recognize the magnanimous person he was, the huge presence that he was, the winsome personality that he had. These guys adored him. They built their lives around him, and he felt the same way about them. And I felt very honored to be included in that elite group of men that considered themselves a brotherhood. I was like one of the guys because I traveled everywhere with Elvis. I went on every single tour in the 4.5 years that I was with him. I flew all over the country with them, me and the guys. And I really felt like one of the guys. So I went on every single tour. I went to Vegas every time he played there, opening night, closing night, and most nights in between. So I really got to know all these guys really, really well. And I loved them. I had so much fun with Marty and Patsy Lacker and with Billy and Joe Smith. I adore Billy and Joe Smith. My brother Sam was able to join the tours later on, and that was great to have my only sibling and family there. And Ricky and David and Billy and Jerry Schilling and Red West and Pat West, his wife Pat and Sonny and Judy, just the whole group. I got to know them really well right away because Elvis and I were together right away, 24/7 for that first year, and then most of the time thereafter. So I got to know the guys really well, and yes, they were a rowdy group, and Elvis was too. Elvis had a raucous sense of humor, and I always like to say that as much as Elvis loved to sing, he loved to laugh. And if you've seen any of the footage, and I'm sure you have, how he would just curl his lip and just break into laughter. There was not a more glorious sound, except for maybe his singing, but there was not a more glorious sound to me and a more gratifying sound than to hear him just exhibiting peals of laughter. He laughed from his toes up to his beautiful lips. So anyway, he was an incredible human being, and I feel extraordinarily lucky to have gotten to know him so intimately and to have loved him so greatly, so deeply, and it's lasted to this day. I waited almost, gosh, after so many years, like 40-something years, I waited to write my memoir because I wanted to carve out my own existence. I wanted to carve out my own career, my own life, have something more to write about than just my 4.5 years living with Elvis Presley. So I waited. I never wanted to be accused of exploiting the relationship or capitalizing on it. It meant a lot to me to know that when Elvis took his last breath, he knew in his heart and mind and soul that I was there for the right reasons, that I loved him without any agenda, without any ulterior motive. So you can't put a price on that, and that means the world to me to this day. So anyway, I waited for a long time to write my memoir, and it made the New York Times bestseller list the first week that it was out, so that was good. I donated most of the proceeds to St. Jude Children's Hospital in Memphis, our hometown, and that felt good. Again, I didn't, I've been very successful with my songwriting, and I didn't want to have a capitalistic venture with Elvis's name attached to it. I wanted it to be for a good cause, and so it was. So that felt gratifying as well. I just feel like all these years later that Elvis is looking down somehow. If anybody could maintain their energy, if anybody could, it wouldn't be Houdini who could come back, it would be Elvis. So if there's any chance that he is up there looking down on us, I know that he is so honored and so humbled and so grateful, so appreciative for your loyalty and your love and your devotion, for keeping his memory and his music and his legacy alive. So I just want to thank you all for that. It's just an amazing thing to see after all these years, and I know he would be just awestruck by it. And if you thought you heard a dog bark, it's not your imagination. I am babysitting my son Brody Jenner's 2 big Rottweilers and a Puggle, and I have my little 15-year-old French Bulldog upstairs as well. So my life has continued to be caretaking, caring for other little creatures, which, Elvis loved dogs. He and I went to a pet store one time and cleaned out the entire pet store of the puppies. We had the little puppies in the car with us and, crawling all over us, and it was the most fun. And Elvis and I found homes for all 15 of the puppies that he bought. But he was that kind of guy. He was so spontaneous and so impulsive, really. Got him into trouble sometimes, but he was just, his nickname was Crazy. He, on his ID bracelet, on one side it said Elvis in diamonds, and he flipped it over and it said Crazy. And he was good crazy. He was crazy good. He did all kinds of fun things like that, buying cars for people, buying houses for people, people he didn't even know, buying rings and, for girls and people he didn't even know. But he was just generous like that. He was like Santa Claus. We used to jokingly call him Santa Claus because he had that incredible altruistic, spirit where he felt it was more blessed to give than receive. He told me a story about when he was a little boy in Tupelo, Mississippi, and he felt that he got filled with the Spirit. And he said the only thing that he had in this world that was of any value to anyone, but especially to him, was his comic book collection. So he grabbed all his comic books and he went out into this little dirt road and he started giving out his comic books to his little friends and saying, "Here, you can have this." So that was the beginning of his incredibly generous personality and spirit. It's just who he was, even from the time he was a little child. He was a mama's boy in the best sense of the word, and he loved women, sometimes too much, and I had to indulge him sometimes. I didn't have to, but I chose to, because above all, we were best friends. We were lovers, we were kindred spirits for sure. We understood each other, and in that relationship, he would come to me sometimes and sit down. He would always get caught if he was cheating. He would always get caught. And I would call him on it, and he would sit me down and say, "Sweetheart, there is nobody in this world that I care about like I care about you. You are my woman. You are my girlfriend. You are the one I love. Nobody compares to you. Every time I'm with some other girl, it just makes me realize how much I love you and how lucky I am to have you and how we are so well suited for each other." And I bought it hook, line, and sinker because I was a young, naive, blindly in love girl. And so I would just always forgive him and always go back to him and always, in fact, I never left him. I never left Graceland until I moved out in December of 76, right before he died in 77. So sorry about my dogs barking. Brody's dogs, not mine, but they're kind of mine. But anyway, he was the kind of person that you would allow for transgressions, and to try to understand them, because he was, let's face it, it was Elvis Presley, and he had had an extraordinarily complex life and being catapulted into worldwide fame from abject poverty. His life had been a trajectory of just, rocketing star. So I had to try to understand his personality and his psyche, and I was willing to do that until I wasn't. And then we broke up in December of 1976. I sent him a beautifully written letter, I must say, and gave it to Billy Smith to give to Elvis, along with a beautiful diamond ring that I had bought him for Christmas. And that was that. And we spoke a few times on the phone after that. And then I got that terrible call on August 16th from Lisa Marie. She was only 9 years old, and she had the presence of mind to call me before she called anyone. She said, nobody knows. You're the first person that I've called. And I'll never forget that, and I'll never forget the closeness that I felt to her, and gratitude for this incredible little 9-year-old girl who had the presence of mind to pick up the phone and call me and let me know. I think that in some ways it validated for me her knowing how much I loved her daddy and how close we were, and that I would be the first person she would think of, said volumes to me. So anyway, everyone, I hope that you, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope that you are staying safe and healthy, and I hope that you are remembering Elvis in your own special way, and that you are honoring his life and his legacy and his music. And I just want to thank you so much for still being here, still being a part of the Elvis world and Elvis's family, worldwide family, after all these years. So thank you. I know that he would thank you and send you all of his love and kisses. And I send you my love, and God bless you. Take care.